Hey everyone, today I want to talk about compressed air dryers because if you've ever set up a small workshop or a home garage with an air compressor, you know how frustrating it can be when moisture keeps showing up where it shouldn't. You hook up your tools, spray some air, and suddenly you're blowing water into your paint job or clogging up your pneumatic lines. That's exactly why I'm looking at the Ingersoll Rand 42 CFM non-cycling refrigerated dryer today. I know what you're thinking. Another air dryer claiming to solve moisture problems. And honestly, most of them look great on paper, but when you actually plug one in, you realize half of them cycle on and off constantly, waste energy, or just can't keep up with a real workshop's demand. That's where this one stands out. The non-cycling design means it runs continuously at a steady temperature, which is a big deal if you're running multiple tools at once or need consistent air quality for things like powder coating or CNC machines. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Now, let's talk about who this dryer is actually for. If you're running a small auto shop, a woodworking studio with pneumatic tools, or even a small manufacturing setup where you need clean, dry air without interruptions, this 42 CFM model is worth a close look. It's designed to handle continuous use without cycling, which means no sudden drops in pressure or temperature swings that can mess with sensitive applications. I've seen cheaper dryers that struggle after just a few hours of use, but this one is built to keep going. That said, if you're only running a single airbrush or a small brad nailer for light hobby use, you probably don't need 42 CFM. A smaller, cycling model would save you money and energy in the long run. One thing that really matters in real-world setups is how the dryer integrates with your existing system. This Ingersoll Rand model is designed to replace older models like the D72IN, which means if you're upgrading, the fit is likely to be straightforward. It's also built to meet safety standards, which is something you don't always see in budget dryers. That compliance isn't just for show, it means fewer headaches with inspections or insurance if you're running it in a commercial space. But here's the catch, non-cycling dryers like this one do draw more power than cycling models. If you're running it in a home garage with limited electrical capacity, you might need to check your breaker panel before plugging it in. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to plan for. Energy efficiency is another area where this dryer shines. Since it doesn't cycle on and off, it maintains a consistent temperature, which actually reduces energy waste compared to models that constantly ramp up and down. For small businesses or workshops that run air tools all day, that efficiency can add up to noticeable savings on your power bill over time. I've seen users in forums mention that their older cycling dryers would spike their electricity usage during peak hours, but this one stays steady, which is a practical advantage if you're trying to keep operational costs low. Now, let's talk about the practical side of things. If you've ever dealt with a dryer that can't keep up with your compressor's output, you know how frustrating it is to wait for the air to clear up before you can get back to work. This Ingersoll Rand model is rated for 42 CFM, which is enough to handle most mid-sized compressors without bogging down. That's especially useful if you're running multiple tools at once, like a spray gun and an impact wrench, without seeing a drop in performance. And this is important if your compressor is pushing more than 42 CFM, you'll need to either upgrade the dryer or run it in stages. Otherwise, you'll still end up with moisture in your lines. Another thing to consider is the environmental angle. This dryer is designed with sustainability in mind, which might not be the first thing you think about when buying air equipment, but it's a nice bonus. Lower energy consumption means a smaller carbon footprint, and if you're running a business that cares about green certifications, this could be a small but meaningful step. That said, don't expect miracles. It's not a magic box that eliminates all waste, but it's a step in the right direction compared to older, less efficient models. So, who should skip this dryer? If you're running a tiny setup with minimal air demand, like a single hobbyist compressor, this is overkill. You'd be better off with a smaller, cycling model that's cheaper and more energy efficient for light use. Also, if you don't have the electrical capacity to run a non-cycling unit, you might run into issues. And if you're on a tight budget, there are cheaper dryers out there, but they often come with trade-offs like shorter lifespans or inconsistent performance. 2.